not only my favourite part of the week, Oscar, but it's also our most successful little clip, the offload here.
Keep watching punters.
We're doing fat numbers on YouTube. NRL season's starting to wind down. We're getting to the juicy
We're almost
end.
there. Yep.
And I thought we might jump into a bit of finals chat earlier. That we will talk about this final round, but I want to talk about the hot teams at the moment. We'll start with the to make a grand final market on Neds. There's certainly not a lot of value for those top dogs, but is there anyone in that sort of the middle of the pack that's revving your tractor? Who do we like?
Following the injuries to the Sydney Roosters in NRL round 26, it's opened the field up a fair bit. Sam Walker, Brandon Smith, Victor Radley, all out for the season, it's been reported, which is an awful result for East, who have been building towards the finals all season. There's still a chance. There's some great narratives there with the club farewelling some key players, but yeah, it's opened the field right up. I think I mentioned the Sharks already on the podcast this week. They're tinkering with their attack now that Nico Hines is back in the halves, but I think the evidence of them moving him into the 5'8" position last week and keeping Trindle at 7, I think that speaks volumes about Cronulla wanting to find different ways to use the ball and not be all about Nico. So for $4, if you think the Sharkies are a chance to sneak in there, I think there's great value in the Sharks. Cowboys, I think you mentioned at $11. Their attack's as good as anyone. It's just those defensive lapses in games, I think, that Todd Payton's been worried about. Doggy's not so sure. Manly, I think it all depends on Turbo. If Turbo's fit, he gets a week off this week, and if he's named for finals week 1, I think $9 for Manly to get to the grand final. There's probably value there as well, but it's a big if, I think, considering how he looked on Saturday.
So you're not sold on the Bulldogs at $5 there?
No, not sold at all. I think
wow.
It's a big test for them this week against the Cows, who we'll speak about in a little moment. But I think there's value. The Doggies have been superb all year. They've proved me wrong all year after I tipped them for the spoon. Their defence is excellent. I'm just curious whether their attack has enough gears to go with a Melbourne, a Cronulla if they're on, a Manly or a Cowboys, for example.
Fair enough. Well, now that the top 8 is pretty much locked in, I think this is the time to find a bit of value in the grand final winner.
Yep.
It's only going to get shorter as we get closer to the granny for obvious reasons. Melbourne Storm, $2.60. Penrith, $3 are the obvious standouts.
Yep.
I think I'll be taking Melbourne at $2.60. That'll be the biggest price you'll get for them. But yeah, of those other teams, is there anyone that you legitimately think can go and win the comp?
Yeah, I got on that 260 this morning, Monday morning. Melbourne, Pappenhausen's got some latest concerns. Hopefully he'll be back as well. I just think of all the teams at the moment, obviously I haven't mentioned Penrith. The fact that we've gotten 2 minutes or a few minutes into a finals chat without mentioning Penrith says a lot about where they are at the moment. I think people are just waiting and watching to see what happens with Cleary. I think there's still certainly a chance
100%.
with or without Nathan. So there's $3 on offer for them. But yeah, I smashed the $2.60 this morning. I love what Melbourne have done this year. They've been the form team of the competition since round 1. Cameron Munster's back in the side, finding his groove. And even if Pappenhausen's missing, they lose a lot with him out. But Suafalongo's a pretty handy little replacement as well.
Beast.
So yeah, $2.60. I like the Storm.
I think Penrith, they've been there enough times. They're one of those teams that just need to get a sniff and get into the finals. Yep. And once they're there, they can actually go to work. I'm not worried about whether Cleary's playing or not. They've proven time and time again.
You think they can win without him? Win the grand final day without Nathan?
Imagine that narrative. That's like...
I think I'll have to imagine it.
Yeah, that's
not happening.
The only narrative they've got left. Let's have a chat about some of the games
this weekend.
Yeah. The first one on the list is the Spoon Bowl.
Yes, it is.
The West Tigers are $2.20 at home to Parramatta's $1.67. I'm pretty sure we're going to be on opposite sides of this one here.
You already mentioned you're leaning towards Benji's Tigers to get it done in the last round of the season. I'm leaning towards Parramatta. I think both these teams have got their defensive issues. They're probably missing some key contributors in the pack, very disconnected on the edges, which is a result of injuries as well. But Eels have got the better attack at this point of the season. I think Trent Barrett's done a fair job with Mitch Moses sidelined. There was a lot of criticism around Parramatta's inability to adjust without Moses at 7. they've found a winning formula between Brendan Hands at 9, Clint Gutherson always doing what he does, but Dylan Brown and Dejan Arce are linking up really nicely in attack. The Eels' left edge has been really productive over the last month. So looking at guys like Blaze Talangi and Micah Sevo, who reminded us all what he can do in first grade last week. So yeah, I like the value in Parramatta. I think they can outscore the Tigers, and those names I just mentioned down the left edge of the Eels' attack in terms of try scorers.
You know a bit more about footy than I do, but for me...
I pretend to anyway.
The eye test for me is with the Tigers. I think their attitude currently seems a lot better.
Yep.
I can't think about Para without seeing the lack of effort from Gutherson at fullback in defence. And I just feel like there's a bit more to get excited about for the West Tigers.
Yeah, there's a narrative there for
looking
sure.
towards 2025. Whether that pays off on Friday afternoon, we'll find out pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
Let's jump across the Saturday 5:30 slot. We've got the Bulldogs and the Cowboys, two top 8 sides battling for a home final.
Yeah.
The Bulldogs are $1.73 and the Cowboys are $2.10.
Yep.
I think I'm leaning towards the Cows here,
same.
just quietly.
Same.
Can you make me feel better about that?
We're recording Monday morning, so we don't have the team lists yet, but I'm pretty sure Matt Burton will be ruled out due to a HIA and Bronson Sherry as well. So 2 key absences from the Bulldogs attack, but specifically Burton's kicking game has been keeping the Dogs in the yardage battle all season. They can have a really tough set, get dominated inside their own 20, and then Burto bloody launches it downfield and gets them out of trouble. So they won't have that this week against the Cowboys. By no means confident, because North Queensland have been coming in and out of games defensively all year, as recently as last week. But I think they'll play with more field position in this one, and I like the Cows to come home. I'm interested to see how they attack the Bulldogs' edges. We saw Manly last week have some joy. I've spoken a lot about the Canterbury's edges get up really high and they stay really high, which forces the attack into playing short or turning back in against the grain. It doesn't leave you with a lot of room to throw face balls and long passes because you got teammates that are catching the ball with defence right in front of them. Manly did something a little different last week. Whenever Daly Chervins came across to the right edge, he would fake to drop Hamole Olakawadu underneath. He's such a big dude. The defence has to respect him or consider him coming back underneath. And then Ruben Garrick was really deep and really wide. Ches was throwing early, so he wasn't dropping and then straightening up before passing. He was pretty much just dropping and throwing early ball to Ruben, who was able to get around the outside of Sherry a few times. Sherry up and in and staying nice and high like I've described. So I'm interested to see if the Cows can take a leaf out of Manly's book this week, and that might be a little key as to how to target the Bulldogs' edges, which have been superb defensively all year.
Manly were the betting underdogs last week.
They were.
And a lot of people I know backed them to beat the Dogs. I thought I thought the Dogs were going to steamroll them. What was that? More the Bulldogs just not showing up? Was it missing Crichton? Was it?
Crichton was a big loss.
What do you think it was?
I think it was, for me, I tipped Manly last week based on their attack. I really like what Lachlan Croker does at dummy half. He's not a highlight reel dude, but he can fold the defence in towards the ball and creates a lot of space on the edges for Ches, for Turbo, for Brooksy. Yeah, I just thought the Seagulls had more upside to their attack, and if they could have made it a shootout, that's where I was leaning towards them.
Yeah, fair enough. So we're both with the Cowboys there.
I think so, yeah.
I'm learning.
Yep.
Cowboys, $2.10 to the Bulldogs, $1.73.
Yeah, nice. Look down that right edge, I think, for Cows. So Villiard, centre, or Cole Felt.
Carl Felt. Yeah,
finish with a bang at the Cowboys.
One of the great multi-boosters at the moment, Carl Felt.
Yeah, he's going all right.
And then you can't script this any better. Sunday afternoon, the last game of the regular season.
Yep.
Newcastle Knights v the Dolphins for a spot in the 8.
In the 8. So good.
The Knights are $1.68 and the Dolphins are $2.20. But yeah, from what I saw against the Bronx last week, I think the Dolphins are every chance here.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I think the market's probably maybe a little skewed based on Newcastle making light work of the Titans, who were without 3 or 4 of their best players last week, and then Rabbitohs, who are without 8 to 10 of our best players the week before. I've spoken a lot about the Newcastle Knights halves pairings. Phoenix Crossland and Cogger did a good job on the weekend or over the last 2 weeks. But yeah, like I said, I think it's more a reflection of the quality of their opposition. Kalen Ponga, though, had 46 touches last weekend.
Wow.
Which is his second most of the season. I think he had 50-odd against the Warriors earlier in the year. The Knights attack obviously looks better when Ponga plays on the ball, but not only did he have more touches last week, it was where he was having them, closer to the middle of the field, in and around the ruck, cutting back in off his halves rather than skirting down the edges. I really liked that look from Ponga and the Knights last week with him getting on the ball, tipping forwards around the middle and then wrapping up and doubling up down short sides. Really active, and that's an area that he'll target again this week. The Dolphins are struggling through the middle right now. They did a hell of a job against Broncos, who were also depleted last weekend. But yeah, Redcliffe are missing key contributors in their middle. And if Ponga can sniff around there enough, I think that's what he needs to do to give Newcastle a chance. But yeah, I like the Dolphins to hold their spot in the finals.
Fletcher Sharp, 3 tries in 8 minutes.
What a fast man.
Yeah.
Fletcher Sharp
is he a chance of scoring again?
Yeah, 100% is a chance. They're playing towards him as well at the moment. Gags is doing a good job bringing him into the game. KP's sharing his time, I think, across the field at the moment rather than just hanging out with Best and Marzu on that left edge. So, yeah, Fletcher Sharp, really exciting. Love his application. He's not a big body, but he gets through a lot of work in yardage as well.
Keen to see how he goes up against the Hammer.
Yeah, that'll be a good match.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Thank you very much, Oscar.
Thanks,
see you next week.
Let's do it.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website